Hello, dear one. Shall we talk a little more about the heart? Such an important subject. No matter what we do, no matter what we talk about, eventually it all comes back to our heart coherence. Are we being present in our heart? Is our heart open? Is it closed? Are we allowing ourselves to receive? It all comes down to the heart. So, most of us, if not all of us, of course, we have walked around for a long, long time, probably lifetimes, with a pretty closed and protected heart. I can certainly attest to that myself. And it's taken a lot of time and practicing to keep coming back to my heart and allow it to open. But here's the thing, you cannot force your heart to open. And of course, that makes sense, right? When you hear it and when I say it, like, no, you can't force a protected heart to open because we all walk around feeling the need to protect our heart and protect our innocence and protect our essence because that is what has been hurt and smashed many times in the past, whether it's this lifetime, whether it's in our childhood, other lifetimes. We all carry that frequency, and that's why it's been so hard for most of us to just naturally live from an open heart, which is our true essence, our true nature. But yes, we cannot force it open. I can't just say to you, just open your heart. And you might go, "Ooh, that's a little too much, Pernilla. That doesn't feel safe," right? There's all these ways that we react to the world, and certainly also to ourselves, to our own beliefs that make us stay closed. And as we talked about, I think it was yesterday, about the heart brain coherence, right? We want to be aligned, but because we have a very closed, protected heart for the most part, and I know many of us have done a lot of work, so it's much more open now than it was maybe a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years ago, right? It's an ongoing opening. So, but when it's closed, where do we go? We go here, right? We go into the mind, the five sense mind, the program of the matrix that we see all around us, and we live from here. And that's why there is no coherence between the two. This is like closed off, and this one is running the show. What I shared yesterday and many other times is that, can we find a place in ourselves from here, right? Because this is where we live the no. So we need to find a yes inside where we want to say yes to our innocence, to our longing, to our soul, to our true being. And that's why you can't just force yourself to do that. But what we can do is softening this protective layer. That makes sense, right? There's this holding pattern. It's like this steel wall, and you can't just force it open. It may not be a steel wall for all of us, but generally there's an immense amount of protection around our heart. And that's why many people are so identified with their mind, because somehow it feels safer to know something, to be in control, so that this beautiful heart of ours, and it's beautiful in every single one of us, because it is the doorway to our true essence, which is love. That's why it's the same for all of us. But there is this tendency to really not want to go there anymore because we have experienced all this pain, and for a very good reason, we don't want to do that again. But so, how do we soften our beautiful heart? Let's first become aware that there is something else except a physiological heart in our chest. That is there, but that's not really what I'm talking about. It's it's our spiritual heart. It is the heart of wisdom, and that is more an energetic thing. So even though it's all happening in the chest area where the physical heart lives, and that's why, because there is such a contraction there, that's often why we might have heart issues, but many other issues. It's that contraction, right? That protection, the contraction, it impacts our whole body, and we may end up with physical pain, emotional pain, of course, but it's not enough just to work on it physically. We need to get that emotional energy softened. So it is in one way, it is very, very simple to get in touch with it. That's the first step. And that is to ask yourself, what do you really want? What do you long for? If you look at your life right now, where are you feeling unhappy, unmet, lonely? There's so many, that's all these layers of protection, right? We feel lonely because it's safer to be on our own than to let anybody in again. But then we suffer from feeling lonely, and that has its own energy. And then there's all the other layers, just to stay safe. But underneath all that, whatever the layers are, there is a longing to be loved, to be seen for who we truly are, to be heard, to be in connection, to be in union, to be at peace. I guarantee you it's in everybody. Maybe there are exceptions with people who have turned so far away that it might take more work for them to start getting in touch with that again. But I'm really talking just to the people like us who are on a path of returning home to our soul, to our true essence. And that is the longing that lives in here. And this is where we can soften the protective layer that has said, no, I can't go there anymore. So the softening that comes with self-love. Can you see how it all just fits together like a puzzle? There's the fear of being hurt again. We close off, and in that closing off, we deny ourselves to feel that deep longing to come back to love again, to be and feel loved again, to feel in connection with people at a real felt sense level. It's in there. And when you hear me talk about it, some of you might feel that something is touched and there might even be tears. It happens all the time when we let ourselves feel that. And if there are tears, there's not tears for everyone, but there's something that happens energetically. And you'll notice that there is some kind of a softening when you just allow yourself to feel that and open up to what you deeply long for. And then, of course, because we are able to activate or reactivate the love that we are, because that's been pushed out, we can just say, okay, I'm choosing to be really gentle and kind and loving to this part of me that has felt so hurt, so lonely, all the feelings, the painful feelings. So we start with just honoring that. And right there, the softening happens. It just does. Because that's what this pain underneath, or this loneliness underneath, is longing for. So when we give it some of that, it can just take a deep breath, take a bigger breath, feel a little more of an expansion. And then there is a softening. So it's not something that happens overnight, but it happens over time. If you keep practicing this, if you keep coming back. So it's not like, oh, my heart is so frozen and my chest is so constricted and protected, I'm not even going to bother. It's not far away because underneath, the stronger the protection, I would say, the deeper the hurt has been, and therefore also the more we long for what it is that had to shut down. So it's a simple practice if you want to take it on to just honor what it is that you really long for underneath that protection. You don't need to go out and broadcast it anywhere. It's in your own private experience, in your own private inner sanctuary, that you just start honoring that. And you can make it a practice where you remind yourself many times a day to just check in. It's like, what is it? What is it that I really, really long for? What is it that really matters to me? And it has nothing to do with anybody out there. That will change when we change it here. When we embrace that longing and really say yes to it, like I've talked about, like a real sweet, kind, gentle yes, but with an energy of love. It's like, yeah, I really want that. And then you can even say, and I want that for you, or I want that for me, right? So you're scooping it up and holding it. And right there, it's already softening. So this is a way to start softening the heart just by saying yes to what you really, really long for. Now, if that isn't the ultimate in self-love, right, then I don't know what is, because you're loving yourself back into wholeness. And the more we do that, our energy changes, the protective layer softens, and we naturally come into coherence with our brain, because now the brain is not taking over. It's like, no, you can't go there. I'm going to run this show. I'm going to be in control, make sure that never happens again. This is beginning to soften back to what it is that you really want, right? Because most of us really don't want to live like that, in protection and control and, hypervigilance. Nobody wants that. But we do want to feel safe, and we do want to feel loved in a safe way, in a healthy way. So that's why when we start that practice and come back into alignment, then you are in heart brain coherence. And that is exactly what the Heart Math Institute talks about and helps people connect with. If you feel moved to work with their technology, definitely go for it. We can't do too much really to really connect back to our heart and open up. And as we do that, right, the distance between what we long for and to have it experienced and manifest in our life gets shorter and shorter, because we are not putting all these no, 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 no in between. We say yes, 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 yes. And that's why it's like you let yourself drop down into the flower, the flower of your heart. And then it starts blossoming. And then it starts interacting with the world around you in a whole new way. it is a practice. It's not happening for me overnight, but what is happening more and more is just like a deeper, deeper softening in my heart. Just keep opening up to what is true for me and seeing the places where I might still say no, 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 unconsciously or consciously. And then choosing, like, oh, no, that's right. I really don't want to say no to that. I want to say yes to that. So, in that process, we're becoming our own best friend. And we start treating ourselves as how we treat our best friends and our partners and children and animals. So, we can do this. So, don't force it. Don't try and do it, because then it's a softening. It's just a softening. And you do that with love for yourself. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you relate to this, if you want to learn more, you can always reach out to me and set up a self-discovery session. We can all use a little help in the beginning. Well, actually, not just in the beginning, the whole way, the whole journey many times. Different kind of support. But if you feel the need for support, please reach out. And also just to mention that next, not tomorrow, but the following week, Tuesday, is our next online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing, Find Your Spiritual Calling. You see, it's all that longing, and then the calling is just oneness, expressing it and living it. So also there's a link for that. Both the links are in the description if you want to check that out. Be well, my friends, and I'll see you again soon.